in the featherweight division for the featherweight division vacant title at UFC 314. You're hearing this right. You got Alexander Volkanovski taking on Diego Lopes. The title was vacated by Ilia Topuria, who's going to move up to the lightweight division. So take that all in, breathe for a minute. Now let's get into it because you got the Australian former champ versus the up-and-comer Brazilian Diego Lopes, who's 26-6. So you got 26-4 versus 26-6. And this is one of those situations. Don't invite Brazil to the party because it could be a problem. So let's see if this holds true in this fight. Diego Lopes, 5 inches taller at 5'11". Volkanovski's 36. Lopes 30. Lopes has a 1-inch reach advantage. Both guys stand right-handed. Volkanovski 6.2 significant strikes per minute to 4.2 for Lopes. Also, Volkanovski lands nearly 2 takedowns over the course of 3 rounds. And Lopes gets like 1 every 6. So he's trying to keep the fight standing. But either way, it seems like if you look at the averages over the career, that Lopes is at a disadvantage. Volkanovski, 70% takedown defense. Now, he's lost 3 of the last 4 fights, but 2 of those are to Islam Makhachev and 1's to Ilia Topuria. So, do you count those against him? I mean, we know he's not as good as those 2, but those 2 are really, really good, right? He did beat Yair Rodriguez by 3rd round KO. You go back to 2022 when he was just dominating. He beat Korean Zombie by KO and took Max Holloway to a 5-round decision victory where he landed 199 significant strikes. Before that, he beat guys like Brian Ortega, Max Holloway. You know, they fought several times. So you all know that. Diego Lopes, 52% takedown defense. That's going to be a problem. But the guy wins. He's won 5 in a row, beating Brian Ortega last time out by decision. 106 significant strikes with 1 takedown. Beat Dan Ige by decision. That was a little closer, 49-42 in significant strikes, 1 takedown to none. He KO'd Sadiq Yusuf. That was a big one. And KO'd Pat Sabatini. So, you know, the guy's doing what he's supposed to do, but can he get in there and beat Alexander Volkanovski? That's the question. And that question is going to be answered. Now, if you think Diego Lopes is going to win, then you have to believe that Volkanovski's 36-year-old, situation, the fact that he's getting older, is a major factor in this fight. Because if you look at the numbers, and Volkanovski's 32 right now instead of 36, Volkanovski wins this fight. But it appears that he's gotten slower over the last few fights. Or is that just because Islam is so good and Ilia Topuria is so good? Well, you have some of that too. So there's a big question mark here for Volkanovski. I can tell you that I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for Diego Lopes in this fight just because if Volkanovski's the champ, we really know he's not the true champ because Topuria beat him, right? But he could still be the next best in this division. But the crowd is going to be supporting the Brazilian. This thing is in Miami, where I'm telling you there are a lot of Brazilians. Make no mistake about it. And don't invite Brazil to the party if you don't want them to wreck shop, especially for a title fight. Now, Volkanovski could win this fight. It's not going to be easy, but I'm going to lean towards the true contender here because Volkanovski was a former champ. So when I say contender, it's vacated. So they're both contenders, but in terms of a true contender, Diego Lopes is trending right now. He's perfectly right in the prime, right where he needs to be. And I'm going to lean towards him to win this fight, although I think it's going to be much closer than Volkanovski's last 2 fights against Topuria and Islam Makhachev. I think this thing may go the distance, or we get a late stoppage in rounds 4 or 5. But I don't see Volkanovski going down without a battle here. He's got a chance to win back the belt. Yeah, it's not against Topuria. Yeah, it's not a lightweight title against Islam. But he can at least salvage the career at this point. Not that he needs to do so, but salvage the career from a standpoint that he can win back the belt and maybe eventually retire with the belt as he gets to be 37, 38 years old. He's still a problem in this division, and he's still the top contender behind Topuria when Topuria was a champ. So, we'll see how this plays out, but I'm leaning with the crowd support for the Brazilian, Diego Lopes. I think that carries him over the top. He wins 3 rounds to 2. It's going to be one of those where we're waiting on the decision and we don't know who's going to win. That's how close it's going to be. But I like Diego Lopes to win 3 rounds to 2. Notice I'm not saying he's going to outstrike Volkanovski or have more takedowns, but he's going to win 3 rounds out of 5 or 3 rounds to 2 to capture the featherweight title here in the main event at UFC 314.